Greetings everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. Let's get into more Pathfinder content, shall we? And this time I want to do part 2 of the Crusade system video. We're going to go more into the mechanics and the management of how you deal with the Crusade, and this probably already looks familiar to those of you who have played Kingmaker. It might get a new coat of paint before the release, I'm not sure, but I think a lot of the underlying mechanics are probably going to remain the same. I want to give a quick warning to anyone watching the video. The mechanics are intertwined a lot with the choices you make in the story. So I'm going to be avoiding any, major story spoilers, but there are a lot of cool things in the system. So if you would prefer to come into it completely fresh, this is not the video for you. Just wanted to make sure that was completely clear. And with that, if you're still here, I assume you want this information. So let's go ahead and get started. You're probably already familiar with the options on the right side over here. So you've got projects, you can rank up the different areas of your crusade. So you do still have leadership, strategy, diplomacy, military. You have economy options. You do not, at least at this point, get problems. So in Kingmaker, you might remember you would have problems that would come up, like your town was being attacked by trolls. And if you didn't deal with those problems in a very short amount of time, it can have serious consequences for your kingdom. That system, as far as I can tell, does not exist in the Crusade management. Instead, it's all about just things that have come up that you can deal with at your leisure. So if you go in and select one of the options, this will all probably look familiar. You can read some information about what this particular ask is. It has to be done by a specific part of your council, and then they have a specific amount of time that is required in order for this task to be completed. So you can go ahead and start project, and then that particular council will get to work on the task during that time. So we'll go ahead, get all of these assigned. There we go. And then if you go to projects, it'll show you for your entire crusade what projects are currently being worked on, along with an entire list of all the ones that are still outstanding. You also have the option of going into little areas that you have already taken over and then building up specific fortresses. So in this case, since we've taken Dresden, we can go into Dresden. I see icons along the outer map that are probably little places just like this, but at this time in the beta, they don't allow you to build anything on them. But if you go into build, again, you're probably familiar with this menu and the little square options for different things that you can set inside the town. You start off with only a couple of options. So I have an archery range, and if I build this, it's going to allow me to hire more archers, rangers, bandits, marksmen, etc., etc. So basically, as you go through the game, I mentioned in the first video that you don't just stick with archers and footmen. You get other units you can use, but you also get upgrades for those units. So for example, archers can be upgraded to be marksmen, which are basically snipers, or headhunters, which automatically shoot back arrows anytime they're attacked by a ranged unit. So I can go ahead and build some of those so that I'll be able to get a lot more archers than I previously was able to. And then same with barracks. So you see there are footmen here. Footmen can be upgraded to spearmen, or I think shield bearers as well, if that's your preference. So by building barracks, it's going to allow you to get a greater amount of those types of units. And then you'll get more options for the things you can build as the game goes on. This is another area where I hope things are a little bit better in the full release. Having only those two options for things to build, I feel like some players could easily just decide, oh, okay, I guess I should just fill up my town with those two options, not realizing more will come along the way. I don't remember it being that way in Kingmaker. I feel like in Kingmaker, you had a bunch of different options you could use as far as what you wanted to build with, and then it was just up to you how you wanted to move forward. But then if I skip a day, again, it's going to look familiar. It'll let you know, even if you're out in the regular map, you'll get a little red mark in the lower right, alert informing you that one of the projects is completed. And then you can assign them more things if you want to. But if I close out of here, okay, so now that I have completed a project and now that more time has passed, more things are happening in the Crusade. And you'll get more advisors and people who want to help you. This gets very, very interesting because who will come and help you is very much so determined by some choices you make in the story, and more importantly, by your mythic path. Your mythic path determines a lot of who are going to be your advisors and who is going to come to assist your crusade. In this particular case, this guy is from the Blackstone Company. I believe that everybody gets this guy. So there's about 2 or 3 generals or advisors that come along that everybody gets access to. In Kingmaker, each portion of your council, whether it be military or diplomacy or coin or whatever, each area was governed by one particular person who was either a party member or just someone who was directly related to your court, which could be frustrating because if you didn't have anybody to fill that slot, you were basically stuck and there was nothing you could do with it. That is not the way it works in Wrath of the Righteous. Instead, in this game, you have a whole council for each area. So every time a real major decision needs to be made with the Crusade, you're going to have several people who will all give their input as to how they believe it should be handled, which is fantastic in my opinion, because one, it doesn't put you in a position where you absolutely need a particular party member in order to be able to do things in a particular area of your council, but also you get 4 or 5 different options as to how you're going to deal with most of the situations that come up. And a lot of them are quite interesting. So here's an example of that. In this particular situation, there's a problem with desertion in the army, and we're trying to figure out the best way to deal with it. Sela, Regal, Darren, and Captain Harmadan, which is basically your chair for the council, will all pitch in and give you a particular way to deal with the situation. So Regal wants to find the instigators and make an example of them. Darren says, hey, just pay the people off or pay the officers off. Captain Harmadan says, hey, why don't you give the privates a pay raise? Each one of them has a different way to resolve the issue. And then the game will tell you what is the effect of each one, which can be really, really cool when you have decisions that affect the units in your Crusader army. So sometimes there'll be a conversation about, hey, our archers are going to be training more. We need to figure out how we're going to train them or what type of unit we're going to bring in. Are we going to bring in these thugs who just, will attack the closest thing in sight? Or are we going to bring in some heavily trained people that really know what they're doing? Everybody has their own way of thinking about how the army should move forward. So it's fascinating dialogue. A lot of times it's not a wrong answer. It's just what kind of crusade do you want to build up? In my opinion, it's absolutely fantastic and low stress. I have to stress that, no pun intended. At this point, I don't know what the full release is going to be like, but at this point of the beta, the council and the crusade system is very, very low stress. You're not in this situation where, oh my God, if I choose the wrong thing, my crusade is going to absolutely fall apart and I might have to start this whole freaking game over again, which is the exact situation I was in Kingmaker at some point. It's not like that at all. It really is about how do you want to shape the crusade? What do you want to do? And the cool thing as well is that there are different councils for different areas of the crusade. So in this particular situation, I'm dealing with the logistics council, who is trying to figure out who to put in charge of rotting supplies to ensure that our stores are treated properly. In this case, only Winduwag and the main cheerleader, Dorgalinda, are able to contribute. But if I had gotten Arwa Chalet beforehand, she would definitely contribute to this. And I think Greybor, I don't think I talked to Greybor at this point, so I haven't officially made him a party member. He would be able to contribute as well. So it's a situation where you definitely benefit from having certain party members because they're going to bring a perspective that nobody else can share. But it's not a situation where if you don't have a particular party member, everything just falls apart and you're at a standstill until you get this one guy, this one woman is the only one who could do the job. And you can also see this is a situation where choosing a particular option will then give Crusade units a particular feat. Now, what this only the Essentials feat does, I don't know. They haven't included that information yet. So you can't min-max it the way you would be able to in the full game. But you can already see the level of customization available to you from this system. And then finally, I wanted to give an example of the unique advisors you can run across based upon the mythic path that you choose. So in this particular playthrough, I am playing as an Aeon. And one of the advisors you get as an Aeon is Malise. He is a devil from hell. Now, if you're not familiar with how Pathfinder works, a devil and a demon are two different things. A demon is ruled by chaos, and it comes from the abyss. Devils are ruled by laws, and they come from hell. And so while it would be wholly unacceptable for you to have a demon as an advisor, the devils are considered some people that are disgusting, but you can kind of work with them because at least they have laws and rules for how they conduct themselves. So it's like I mentioned before, no one person stops the show as far as the court being able to conduct its business. However, every additional person you have on the court brings their own unique perspective and personality. In this particular case, you would have a representative from hell who can make contracts with soldiers and who can provide you with solutions for court cases you're getting and problems that you're confronted with. And you would not get that perspective or get those possible options if he was not on the court. Each mythic path has its own version of particular advisors or people who are in your court that give a different flavor to how your crusade system is going to move forward. And it is incredibly entertaining. The amount of replay value in this game is absolutely staggering. So I hope that gives you a better understanding of how the crusade system works in this game. I hope it makes you excited for it and also helps you understand some of the differences between what they've done in Wrath of the Righteous and what they previously did in Kingmaker. Let me know down in the comments if you have any feedback about the video or what videos you'd like to see me do next. Leave me a like, please, if you enjoyed this content, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I will see you all in the next video. Take care.